Stop being fucking selfish and decide what you're going to create for the fucking future family and the future people with your last name. Of course I look good. I look better than last week, and next week I'll look better than this week, of course. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about this shirt, United States Post-Apocalypse, right? It looks like United States Postal Service. The post-apocalypse, when is that going to be? Everybody wants to talk about, when's it going to happen? Maybe it fucking started happening, right? Maybe you're just too dumb to realize it. Maybe it is happening, right? All those dudes in the cities, they're like, well, I can't leave my job because my 401k. I can't leave my job because my insurance, right? What happens when shit collapses? Are you willing to roll those dice? You've been gambling, right? You've got that credit and you keep running it and running it and running it. And you're like, well, society collapses. I can just max my credit out and nobody's going to come. What if it doesn't collapse? Then you're fucked on the credit thing, right? Because sooner or later they're going to come take all your shit. You gamble every day of your life. When you work for somebody else, you run the risk that that job's going to be there next week, right? You people staying in the city, get out of the fucking city. It is a death trap if something happens. When you're out of the city, all the people out of the city look back and they're like, man, I'm so glad I'm not in the city. When any bad shit happens, you are fucking trapped. When you look at the Nazis and the shit that they did, we just unmonetized this video by that saying that name. When you look at what they did and you look at interviews with the people that were getting out of the country, you always hear these stories about, yeah, I went to get on the boat, I went to get on the ship, I went to get on the train, and that was locked down, right? Last week, my relatives got on a ship and left, but the person telling the story got turned away, right? And those are always the people, the few that made it out of the camps, right? We knew it was happening. They said we couldn't say these things. And then they said we couldn't do these things. And then they came and cataloged our things. And then they took our things. And then they put us, for our own safety, they put us in this area that was not ours, right? And we lived in these places called ghettos. And then they started taking us from the ghettos for our own safety. They took us someplace better, and they took us by train. But when we got off the train, they cataloged us. And they took all the children and the women who couldn't perform tasks, and they took the young and the weak, and they killed them. Right then, right? They said, we're going to clean you up and put you in the shower, and they executed all those people. And then they took the able-bodied men, and they put them to work, and they fed them very low calories. They were not interested in keeping them alive because they had more and more and more of the people that didn't get out for the couple of years that led up to this. They didn't leave, and they had a supply of people, millions and millions of people, and they took them, and they put them in the camps, and they worked them to death. They were not interested in keeping them alive. They were not interested. They were literally, it was just that they were using them for labor until they died, and they had a steady supply of more and more people. Don't let that be you, right? The post-apocalypse. Apocalypse is going to be different things for different people. There are people right now with the cost of food having risen so much, and all their expenses having risen so much, and taxes coming up. There are people that are literally living in extreme poverty because they are not willing to do something different than what they have done. During the Civil War, during the Great Depression, there was empires made for families, right? There was just generational wealth made, and that's because those people, they didn't stumble into that. When what they did was removed and the ability to do what they were used to doing was taken away, they figured out some other thing, right? People who work can always work. People who are stuck on one thing, right? You hear people all the time talk about their disability, right? I have this thing, and that's not who you are. That's just something that you have, right? And that's your skill. You can be skilled in one thing, but if you're able to use your hands, you can do these other things over here. You just have to be willing to not quit and just have a success mindset. And if you're going to succeed, people who build businesses can typically build other businesses over and over and over. They've been tested, right? Because the thing you know them for, that business that you know them for, that empire that they've set up, or that great thing that they've created, you don't know the 100 things that they failed at before that, right? And a lot of times they were successful things, and they just found something, or they transitioned. It's that clock, right? We're moving at 12 o'clock. but a couple years down the road, it's 12:01 or 12:02 seconds or 12:03, right? For a couple of years, that path looks the same. But after a couple of years, you can't even see those paths together anymore. You have to just be flexible and be fluid, be really good at what you do, but more importantly, you have to be really good, or you just have to have will not to quit, right? I'm not the smartest dude. I'm not even somebody that you should listen to for business advice. You definitely shouldn't listen to me for financial advice or investment advice, right? Because if you knew how I typically live, you wouldn't be able to live that way. You couldn't live with yourself living the way I live, right? But I have something that most people don't have, and that's that I never quit, and I am able to put in the hours. I will grind and grind and grind. When you see those videos that I make at 4:30 in the morning, I didn't go to bed at 8 o'clock. I didn't go to bed at 6 o'clock. I typically get in bed at 10:30 to 11 o'clock, and I turn the lights off at 12 o'clock. When you get emails from me in the middle of the night, that's not because we're in different time zones. That's because I actually get in bed, and at about 11 o'clock, I have a laptop in my lap, and I answer all of my emails, and I print out anything that's actionable or questions that I don't know the answer to. I print them out. So at 4:30 in the morning, I've gone to bed usually at 12 o'clock. My head's on the pillow, the lights are off at 12 o'clock. I get up at 4:30 in the morning. 4.5 hours, that's what I sleep. I don't take a nap in the middle of the day. You can ask these guys, it's not a show. You can talk to anybody that's around me, and they're like, yep, that's absolutely what he does. I'm 51 years old right now. If I am 51 and you are 20, 25, 30, 40, you can do the same thing. But I need, what is it they say they need? It? Balance. I need balance in my life. No, motherfucker, you don't. Because if you're always balanced, you're not going to have any fucking kind of strength, right? If you want to have resilience and you want to be able to weather the storm, you better get some fucking sea legs, and that doesn't come with balance. That comes from getting knocked down and getting the fuck up. Nobody has hardship in their life, right? We have built weak people, and we have taken the people who were the most fractured and craziest amongst us, and through social media and manipulation, we have given them the loudest voice to drown out the strong, right? Because they don't want the message of strong people, especially strong men, strong women. They don't want those people guiding and molding the children, right? It's that it's all interwoven. We can talk about anything you want to talk, and I can show you how it's woven, and it's actually very insidious, and it's not in your best interest. You have to take control of your life, and the more control you have of your life, the less control they have. And the things they do to the normal population, they won't affect you because you're fucking strong from it, and you weren't worried about fucking balance. You were worried about strength and precision and just fucking won't quit. And when you can do any one of those things, the other 2, 3, 4, 5, 100, they get easier and easier, and you chip them away, and you become the focus, and you set the tone, and you put forth and set the course and direction for your family. You guide your children. You don't send them to somebody who hates you and then wonder why they come back 10 years later hating everything about you, right? You set the example, you build the empire, and the children that aren't even born yet will continue that name. You just have to decide right now. Stop being fucking selfish and decide what you're going to create for the fucking future family and the future people with your last name.